Sure. Carlson. Elsa, sir.
Siri couldn't hear, but it's saved here.
Oh, did you call my name? I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Friedman. Kaplan.
Here.
Novak. Satter.
Here.
And Rowan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
The first item of business is the November 6th zoning board of appeal minutes, which were previously passed out to everybody. Is there anybody have comments about these, or is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved. The first item on the agenda then is a public hearing to consider a request of Melissa Mitchell for a variation to reduce the east side yard for proposed one-story addition to her home at 372 Jackson Avenue. Ms. Mitchell, are you here?
I am.
Okay. Before we start, let's swear everybody in. Because you're going to be testifying, everybody's going to testify tonight, so people for a second. Raise your
You can stand up too. So do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will be providing in this matter will be true and complete?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Mitchell, tell us why we should do this. And let me interrupt one more time. One of the things I always want to know is, and the board wants to know, is we have canvassed your neighbors. Have you had any objections to this request?
I have not had discussion with any neighboring properties via phone call or email.
You to say they don't want this.
No, my husband and I sat down with our immediate next-door neighbors who will be most impacted both by the construction and by the proposed changes to our property, and they were absolutely fine with it, and in fact had several suggestions and gave us a hot plate to help us deal with having no kitchen, hopefully, for a couple months. So that was the only feedback we got.
That's great. Okay, tell us what you want us to do and why we should do it.
Okay, Chairman Rowan, thank you for the time. Thank you, Commission members. My name is Melissa Mitchell. My husband and I own and reside at 372 Jackson Avenue, which is on the corner of Jackson and Lake. As you can tell from your packets, there was an addition to our house put on in 1991, and with that addition, they created some really great additional space and also created a bit of a pinch point. 372 Jackson Avenue. They created some additional space in a family room and also created a little bit of an awkward layout from a small kitchen into a larger family room. With that layout, we have about 100 square feet of what's functionally unuseful space and a tiny kitchen. And I understand the hardship parameters. I had thought about having my mother-in-law call in because every time she's here, she indicates that she can't believe an actual meal can come out of this kitchen. It's so small, and I thought maybe you all would count that as a hardship. What we're asking for, she's lovely. It's just, and good meals do come out of that kitchen. You know, it takes a little more prep, but.
The existing footprint is 8-2 exhibit.
Yes, and what we're proposing is a 47 square foot addition that would require a variation on the east side of the structure, property line variation by about 20%, so going from 10 feet to 8 feet. Yeah, and what'll end up happening with doing that is we'll be able to open up about 100 or so square feet of space that's currently not really useful to anyone but our dog. So I'm hoping that that variation will be acceptable to you all. My husband and I and our architect did do some work internally or do some investigation internally to the house and structure to see what could be done to make changes that would not require bumping out walls and changing the footprint of the house and without significantly redesigning and restructuring the interior of the house, including eliminating some space that for us is functional and useful. There's not much else that we could do.
So there's another part of the house that's already there, it's only 3 feet from the property line.
Yes, our house was originally built in 1926, and there's an existing part of the house that is only 3 feet from the property line, and so this wouldn't go up to even be level with that existing part of the house.
You're just lining up with another
We are.
So, any questions about this?
Any idea why the original addition was built like it was? Is there anything on file?
Because they were, if you look at sheet A1, which is the site plan,
Yeah.
so on sheet A1, the site plan, the hashed in area is showing where they're planning to put the addition. You'll see that their proposed addition is going to be 8 feet away from the side property line. I believe the other addition was done the way that it was to avoid having to request a zoning variation, because that angle and other part of it are 10 feet as noted on there, which the minimum side yard in this zoning district is 10 feet, which is tough for a 50-foot wide lot, especially when you've got the corner side yard setback of 15 feet on the other side. But that would be my guess.
We did look, oh, sorry.
I was saying, back in 1991, I think I was on the village board then, the zoning board, they were all paying attention. People would come in and they always got their done. So, but we have a different program.
Yay, hopefully. We did look at the original plans they had put up for the 1991 edition, and it didn't look like they had ever considered bumping that part out. And I will also tell you, I don't think for the people that did that addition, having the kitchen be as functional as my husband and I would want it was a priority, just based on how some other things seem to be.
If you look at your house from Jackson, is it got a big tree on it? The house? I'm sure
Sorry.
come on,
Oh, I won't fit that way anymore.
This one right here?
It is, yeah.
And so the addition would just be on this side?
It'd be on the other side,
On the other
right
side.
tucked back here, and so there's a fence between the two houses, and it'd be in the back on that side.
I can't tell by the picture, but how close would it be to this driveway? Is this your driveway or is this?
No, that's our neighbor's driveway, so it would not be as close to their driveway as this side of the house is. This is the
I
side of
see.
the house that goes
I
as far
see.
over.
So you would need to be further back than that?
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's have a roll. Sarah, can you hear all this? Is there a second? You got a motion and a second, so now we're going to roll call.
I heard everything, thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, let's see. Commissioner Elsesser. She probably. Commissioner Friedman.
Yes.
Commissioner Kaplan.
Yes.
Commissioner Satter.
Yes.
And Chairman Rowan.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much. We're really happy to be able to move forward.
Okay. The next item is a public hearing, consider a request of the annual Captain Sanford for a variation to vertically extend a portion of the south exterior wall of their home at 1185 Carroll Lane. So, come on up, you will event sworn in, tell us who you are, and, let me start by asking, whether we've heard anything from any neighbors that are unhappy with this.
No neighbors that are unhappy. I spoke to the one neighbor to the south who just had some general questions, and she said she'd already talked to you and she was fine with it. So.
Perfect.
Mr. Sanford, anybody complain to you that you know about?
No, we actually, and Chairman Rowan and Commissioners, thank you very much for having us, first of all, and Sarah, wishing you a speedy recovery. Thank you again, and we actually ran this project down to our neighbors to the south, who would be most impacted by the project. And after considering our plans thoroughly, having some time to think about it, recently told us that they supported our project and were very excited that we were proceeding this way. So not only we did not have any negative feedback, but in fact positive feedback. We've also spoken to the neighbors surrounding, both to the north of the home as well as across the street, and all expressed positive feedback for our project.
So tell us what your problem is and why we should listen to it.
Yeah. So essentially, the home is 1950s mid-century modern. That whole neighborhood, it's a bunch of single floor mid-century modern. It's the Keck and Kecks. Ours is not a Keck and Keck, but it's 7 foot 11-inch high ceilings, so lower ceilings than today's standards, and a bunch of small modular rooms, not any sort of open concept or flow whatsoever. And so, you know, me as a 6'2" guy need a little space to get it up to the standards of today's, you know, building standards, open concept, higher ceilings. We're just trying to bring in some light and basically, you know, we want to preserve the one-floor ranch look that is indicative of that whole community, the mid-century modern look. But we essentially, to do any sort of, you know, modern day updating, the ceilings have to come up.
Yeah, and that, just to add on to that, you know, comes at the recommendation of our architect. It was very important for us to preserve the original character of the home and the community. It's a, you know, a very unique community within Glencoe that we're very happy to be a part of as new homeowners as of this year. You know, that being said, as my husband Daniel mentioned, it does require quite a bit of updating to bring the home up to today's livable conditions. If we had opened up the floor plan at the current 7-foot, 11-inch ceiling height, you know, it would feel very disproportionate to have a kitchen, family, and dining room all together in one room. So opening that room up really does require a lift of, you know, several feet to make the space, you know, usable, functional, and we think, you know, aesthetically beautiful from the outside, preserving the characteristics of the community and the neighborhood.
How does zoning restriction work here? So they're non-conforming now.
Correct. Yeah, so
What's the rule on what they're allowed to build in?
the reason that they're here is really only because of the south wall of their house, which you can see on the plat of survey, is 6.74 to 6.76 feet away from the side property line. And we actually, interestingly enough, had the original building permit, and so I pulled that out, and it noted that the side yard setback at the time the house was built was required to be 6 feet. Today, that side yard is, I believe,
10 foot, I believe.
Yeah, 10
yeah.
feet. So because they have an encroachment, which was built that way and it conformed at the time, because they want to extend that wall vertically, essentially they are increasing the degree of that nonconformity. They were already in for a building permit and had no idea about they were going to have to get a zoning variation. So I got to give them the bad news that by wanting to extend that portion of their wall vertically by 3 feet, because it encroaches into the side yard setback, they need a zoning variation. And there is a specific zoning variation that allows for a non-conforming wall to be increased in height vertically, which is
And the height they want is an allowable height if only
Yeah.
they were not in the side yard.
correct. Correct. We've had people use this zoning variation to do a second story above a non-conforming one-story portion of their house in the past.
They had one of those just earlier this year. Right on Green Bay Road, where they had that house. But they modeled that entire house on Green Bay Road north
Yeah.
town.
Okay.
Yes, sir?
She's listening.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, absolutely.
Great. So it looks like you're, and I'm just trying to understand your drawing.
Sure.
Everything you're doing is fine, but, is it just part of the south part of the house that you're raising up? So you can see, like over the garage, you can put some transom windows in, and it's pretty cool, and adding some light. But it's not the whole elevation, it's just that.
Correct. The garage portion is not being lifted, so I don't know the proportion.
Really only from the kitchen onwards. So the garage, as well as a mudroom being built into a section of the wall that's not being lifted up. And then when you walk into the kitchen, family room, kind of open concept, 3-floor area is the portion that's being lifted up.
It'll help you define the spaces a little bit.
Exactly, and also, you know, it was a strategic move as well, rather than to raise the whole house, you know, maintaining kind of a three-dimensional depth of ultimately three heights. If you see on the last page of the drawings, might give you a little bit of a better scope of what it looks like.
Yeah,
I understand that looking back at like the preceding page, you have the layout.
and then it
Right.
allows for a lot more light to make its way into the living portions of the home.
So you, and I saw that you said in your letter that, your house, well, the houses around, they have, taller exterior walls.
Correct. So,
Yes, many of the homes in our community are by the renowned architects Keck and Keck, and those floor plan, we actually viewed several of them when we were in the process of purchasing our home and settling in Glencoe, significantly higher ceiling heights than we have.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second? Let's have a roll call, and I think Sarah, you might be first, so get ready.
I'm ready.
Commissioner Alcacer,
Yeah.
Commissioner Friedman,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Yes.
Commissioner Satter,
Yes.
and Chairman Rowan.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're very excited. We are very happy to be here. Thank you all so much.
we were in New York, but we were in Chicago before that, but coming back from New York, so
Coming home to plant some roots.
she's from
Yeah.
here, so.
I'm born and raised Chicago. I grew up right at Harlem and Addison, so right near the northwest suburbs. And my husband's from Denver originally. We met here in Chicago, and his work took us out to New York, and mine brought us back to Chicago. So we're very excited to buy our first home, or have purchased our first home here in Glencoe, and really settle into the community.
We are happy to have you here. Love your time.
Wonderful. Thank you all. Take care.
So, that covers all the plan items. So now it's time for public comment. Is there anybody here who wants to raise anything with the zoning board? Just what you want.
I was just gonna, I mentioned to, Commissioner, I'm sorry, Commissioner Howard, on the planning commission, we're talking about the downtown design guidelines. And that's kind of, that conversation kind of broadened a little bit. I think I'm gonna bring up the fence, concerns that we have. There's no standard, or variation limit such as we have for setbacks and FAR, or provide some sort of tolerance, at the next.
Anybody else want to raise anything? For what's worth, by the way, John and I got outvoted when we got a big fence. And, we're just bumbling, trying to see if we can fix it. And
We're anti-fence people.
It's not a pretty. And the theory, since we really would like to be able to approve variance requests for citizens who come in, because we know how important your house is to you. It's the most important thing that you can do. So you want to do something and somebody tells you no, that's kind of crushing. So we want to be able to say yes, we take into account what the law is and what the neighbors say, because they have the right not to have a monstrosity next to them. I feel differently about fences. When I was on the village board 100 years ago, the president of the village, Betsy Warren, explained that the reason for our fence limitations is because of the look of the village. We did not want, there are some villages that have fences, Lake Forest is made, they have fences everywhere, big house, big fence, stay out. And we have a different view of Glencoe. We want it to look open, so we insist on only a 4-foot fence in the front yard and 6 feet around it. The sort of lax, it's deliberate, the lax approach we have to additions and stuff like that is, from my point of view, has bled over into fences, which I'm against. So, I want to keep talking about this, and, I prepared that people want the applicants, they want to have a big fence, but not, we want to just have a nice speech, and, John and I were there, but we got outvoted. Okay, anybody have anything?
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
When, in the past, have you set the schedule for the next year in terms of dates? How do you go about doing that?
So, that's actually interesting. Typically, we probably, do it now, but it should be by roads. That is, we're gonna do the first Monday, except, when it runs into a holiday, which it, usually does for Labor Day,
Right.
which is linked to the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And then we've also, there's an important reform for me, is we don't do it for the final basketball game.
Final four.
Well, it's the championship game, which is
Championship
always on a
game on
Monday,
Monday night.
and we do not have a meeting on that Monday.
So I put together a calendar based on the first Monday of the month and taking into account holidays. Is that something you want me to pass out and you can all take a look at it and we discuss it at the next meeting? I'll email it to everybody then?
Email it.
Okay.
The ones, just so we don't run out of time, like I said, it's usually, it's the April meeting, the first, the championship game we got. It's not just for us. I don't want, there might be some people in town that want to watch that game, and I don't want to feel that they can't work on their house because they play basketball game. If anybody, if there are any, the goal, our goal, is to be as friendly to the residents of this town as we can be. That means convenient for them and not have them miss anything, we have people here.
April 2nd will be the date that it will be moved.
So we can go into the night, I guess.
Okay.
And you have to check, there are sometimes religious holidays that,
We've done that. I mean, we've done that check, but I'll email it out to everybody and you can all take a look and, no. The filing deadline for the January 8th meeting was November 30th, and I don't have any applications, so there won't be a meeting in January.
how about February?
I don't have anything yet, but the filing deadline's the end of December, so I'll keep you posted.
I'm not going to be here, but I will participate by, phone.
Okay.
If there's a meeting.
If, that would be the February 5th meeting. Okay.
Well, no, I think that maybe I can be here.
Okay.
I plan on coming back on Monday.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
8:02?
Thank you, Sarah. I hope you feel better.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
We appreciate you not impacting us. Thank you all for coming.
Of course.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye, Sarah.